Hello, folks. Mr. McAllen again, and we're working on questions 5 and 6. And in this video, I'm probably going to do 5 and 6, and hopefully, if it doesn't take too long, 7 through 10 on solving the equation portion of our, um, you know, review for the open-ended. Now, when we give you these equations on the review, we're giving them to you for a reason because these are the types of equations that we practice solving in class, and you have to, recognize on the test which type of equation is and what method of solving you would work on that. And please show your work because we do give partial credit. For example, on number 5, it's a quadratic equation. Now, we've spent probably you've spent most of your teenage life solving quadratic equations, and when you see that it's degree 2, you really want to solve it as a quadratic, not as a linear function. So quadratics are always solved where you bring the all the terms over to one side. So I'm going to bring 5x squared and I'm going to subtract a 40x to the other side, set that to 0. And we've shown you so much work on factoring that we really hope that you would incorporate that into solving this problem, where we're going to factor out the 5x and you're going to have x minus 8. And once you get through the factoring, now remember this was simple factoring because, or it's called greatest common factoring because there were only two terms. And you factor out the greatest common factor, and now you have two linear terms to solve. You have 5x equals 0, and you have x minus 8 is equal to 0. And our answers are nice and simple. You have x equals 0, you divide by 5, and you have x equals 8. And you should always take those answers and plug them back into the original equation and see if they work. Double check yourself. That always helps to give you confidence that you got the answer correct when you're working on a big test like this midterm. So if you plug them back in, you'll see that they do work. For example, for 8, if I do 5 times 8 squared, does that equal 40 times 8? And yes, it would, because this is 5 times 64, and that would give you 320. And then 40 times 8, if you remember 4 times 8 is 320, and then an extra 0, so it does check out and work. And if you plug 0 in, you would clearly see that 0 works for this one. On the next one, we have, again, it's not a quadratic, but it's a cubic function. But this one is one where, if you see you have 4 terms, I would always try factor by grouping first. So here, I'm just going to give it a shot. I haven't tried this problem yet. Let's see. It may backfire on me, but let's see. So I'm going to group the first 2 terms, and then I'm going to group the second 2 terms. And notice I didn't put the negative on the outside, because the way I like working with grouping is by keeping the negative and then factoring that out later. Now I'm going to factor out the x squared here, so I have x minus 7. And in this one, I've got a common factor of, I'm going to pull out the negative 8. So I take out the negative 8, I have x, and then this 56 becomes minus 7. And it looks like factor by grouping is working well, because I have x squared minus 8 times a matching term of x minus 7. So I know I have one root here, x equals 7, and when I have x squared minus 8, I can just solve that by setting x squared minus 8 equal to 0. And when you have a quadratic equation with just a constant term, you should know that for this setup, you're allowed to solve it like a linear equation, where you bring the 8 over to the other side by adding 8, and then you just square root the 8. Don't forget the plus or minus, and if you reduce or simplify your radical, this will be plus or minus 2 root 2. So we have 3 roots. We have 1 rational root, and we have 2 irrational roots. And we should plug them both in to see if they work. And I'll leave that up to you to do. I'm pretty confident I got the answer here. And hopefully this video has, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm looking at the time and I'm already at like 5 minutes. So I'm going to, just in case that you don't want to watch all equation solving, I'm going to do the next 3 problems on the next video.